Dave Chappelle, who is a lot of people's goats, and he is one of the greatest comedians of all time, keeps it real in every situation that he's ever been in, what he talks about on stage. Him and D. Ray Davis got into a small debate. I wouldn't call it an argument, but a small debate at one of Dave Chappelle's stand-up shows that he was doing, small stand-up show. And he said that what he did wasn't good for the culture. D. Ray was arguing on Katt's side, saying that he shined a light on what happens behind the scenes and what happens in the game of comedy, and it's like a sport and it's competitive. And Dave Chappelle came back and said, well, what part of the game is ethering niggas? Like, hurt people. And he was saying that Katt Williams right now is a hurt person and he's hurting other people. He also goes on to say that he fucks with Katt, and what part of the game is fucking up another nigga's paper, basically. So do you agree with Dave Chappelle, or do you agree with what D. Ray said? What side are you on?
You already know how I feel. I expressed this in when we originally talked about Katt, that while there's truth in what he said, while it was entertaining, while there was humor in some of what he said, why is it that our people always, when they're successful, or when they're trying to be successful, in this case Katt is successful, the people that he talked about have had success. They might not be as successful as him in some cases, or they may be more successful than he is, or perceived to be in some cases. But why is it that our people always have to go against each other? Why is there always beef? And I'm not saying that there aren't any public beefs in other cultures, but it's not as publicly known or as widespread as it is with ours. Like I said, when we originally talked about Katt Williams in the Shannon Sharpe interview, and again, congrats to him, because I believe it's over 50 million views now. It seems like those beefs is widespread, and it's like right now we're talking about comedy. Next week we'll be talking about, or not even next week, tomorrow we'll be talking about some hip hop beef. Then there's some beef in sports of some fashion amongst blacks or our culture. So it's just, to me, I feel like it was good for the culture because of the energy that it generated, and the amount of publicity that it got for Shannon Sharpe and Katt Williams. And like I said, Katt is on tour right now, but in general, it was not good for the culture because of how it's dividing. It's like, you have, this is a great example. Dave Chappelle, who rocks with Katt, as he mentioned, feels like it's not good for culture. D. Ray Davis, who rocks with Katt, feels like it was good for the culture. So it's just dividing. And I mean, I know if it wasn't this, it would be something else that divides us. But why does it always have to be stuff like this that divides us?
Very true, man. I mean, and just like Dave said in that same stand up, he was like, all of us are just trying to be in a better situation. And again, my side on this too. I am more leaning towards Katt Williams' side, because if I was in Katt Williams' shoes and I felt like people were going on a public platform, Club Shay Shay, like Steve Harvey went on the platform, Ricky Smiley went on the platform, Cedric Entertainment went on the platform. They all said things that were contrary to what I believed. If I'm putting myself in Katt's shoes, I would go on and have to defend myself too. I'm not going to let somebody come on and speak to millions of people on Club Shay Shay. He has, I don't know how many followers he has as of right now, but I do know that the Katt Williams interview is at 55 million views right now, which is insane for 3 weeks. That's crazy. But I will say that if I was on Club Shay Shay has 2.5 million subscribers. If I got people in my same profession, in my same lane, coming on here and telling what I feel like is lies and it's attacking my character, I'm going to come on that same platform and I'm going to tell you, this is what they said. I'm going to tell you the truth, or I'm going to give you at least my side of the story. So I don't blame Katt for doing what he did and going on and speaking what he thinks is his truth. But I also do agree with Dave Chappelle, and just to say, like, look, bro, like, we all all are in the same profession. We all are black. We need to stop, like D-Lo said, dividing each other, dividing our culture, because we are and I think it's more amplified in our culture because we're such a proud culture. We're such a proud culture, and we always like we're the type that's not going.
I mean, not resentful, but resilient,
persistent, exactly. And we're not going to let nobody talk down on us. Like, nah, you gonna say that behind my back, and I got to come out and tell the people what's the real. And I got to at least, it's 3 sides to the story. Your side, my side, and the truth is somewhere in the middle. So I'm going to at least let you spoke your piece. I'm going to get my piece, and then we can decipher what the truth is. And what's crazy is the truth is leaning more towards Katt, especially with all the evidence that came out. So I don't blame Katt, but I also agree with Dave. And it's like, bro, just, let shit rock. Because like Dave said on stage, he was like, if I told my story, you would be astonished. You would be surprised, because he has come out and said he's had stuff stolen from, jokes stolen from him, and he had a material stolen as well. And he was homeless at one point, yada, yada, yada. So like, he has the same story, but he just doesn't speak it in the same way. And he's not going to call that person out for stealing his joke. He just understands it's a part of the business. So, I mean, I get both sides. What was you about to say?
No, I was just going to say, my only thing is I agree with you when you said certain individuals. Again, I know that Said was asked about the Katt Williams, because him and Katt have had some beef for some years.
Yeah.
So when he went to Club Shay Shay, I know that he was asked about that. And after the interview, I went back and watched the part about Ricky Smiley talking about he was supposed to get the part in Friday, next Friday, or Friday after next, being Money Mike and whatnot. So I can understand them two individuals, him, clearing the air and correcting what they said. But as far as the rest of everybody that he talked about, Dave said it in the discussion he had with D-Ray. It's like, he was talking about people that hurt other people that did nothing directly to him. So
makes sense. Yep.
For me, like, you're telling the truth. You're being a truth teller. Everybody likes to use that term now, but why are you doing this?
Very true.
And that's why I said what I said when we first talked about it. It's got to be something in it for Katt to do, for Katt to gain. He's on, and the first thing that I automatically think about is he's on a comedy tour right now. He goes on a platform like Club Shay Shay, who before this he wasn't at 2 million subscribers, but he did have a strong viewing. He averaged, I believe he said, like 2 million views. This thing popped to 50 million views. Now everybody's like, oh, let me go see what else he's going to talk about at his show. And I'm not saying that was his intent. I don't really know. Yeah. We don't know. We can only speculate. But, when it comes to stuff like this that we're still talking about 3 weeks later, you have to try to figure out what was the motive for him to do that. And okay, yeah, you told your truth about 2 individuals that discussed you on that same platform. But what was the motive for talking about all these other individuals that did nothing to you directly, but they did something? Okay, you're friends with Mark Curry. Cool. You're defending Mark Curry with Steve Harvey. Got it. What made you talk about Luda and the Illuminati and all that?
Illuminati and Tiffany Haddish and Ludacris.
You know what I mean? Like, come on. Yeah. Like, he's always had an issue with Tiffany Haddish. Okay. Talk about Tiffany Haddish. Kevin Hart, I guess, because he's tied to Tiffany Haddish. Okay. Talk about Kevin Hart. You literally talked about everybody. Just about.
Yeah.
The only people you didn't talk about was probably Jay-Z and Beyonce.
Yeah. That's very true.
That's why I'm like,
yeah.
Like, it was funny. It was entertaining. And I love Katt. And this doesn't change my opinion of him whatsoever. But,
But so of course, Katt Williams brought up the whole thing about whenever the black guys wear the dress and, all of a sudden their career goes sky high. How do you feel about what Marlon Williams said in his interview about whenever black men wear a dress and his whole point about that? Did you see that?
I mean, yeah, I did see that. And I don't know, I'm on the fence with that because I do know for a fact that, I can't say for a fact, but I do know that there's a such thing as called buck breaking. And that stems from slavery, where the most powerful slave was emasculated in front of his peers to send a message to the rest of them that if you try to get out of line, this is what's going to happen to you, right? And so in Hollywood, they say that this is a form of buck breaking. Buck, I'm saying buck, not butt. Buck breaking.
Right.
And, you know, in order to move to that next level, then this is what you have to do. I mean, you know, there's not really a coincidence in most cases. Everything is not coincidence. It is a reason that comes behind it or a reason for it.
Right.
But these individuals have to choose to do this. Like Katt said, he chose not to do that. He has not wore a dress.
Yeah, he did.
Whatever.
Kevin Hart?
Williams wore a
Katt
dress?
Williams. I thought you said Kevin Hart.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Go
Katt
ahead.
Williams.
Yeah. My fault.
Katt Williams.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, and Kevin Hart wore a dress on SNL. I haven't seen him.
Yeah.
I haven't. And so this is another thing. I have not seen any of those type of roles in any movies that he's played.
True.
So that's a stretch in what Katt Williams said.
Okay.
Like, yes, he wore a dress on SNL, but every other role, I haven't seen him.
But would you use that SNL dress wearing situation after that? You kind of started to get more major movie roles and more box office films and things of that nature. Because before that, all he had was Soul Plane.
This was recent that he wore a dress. This was like the last 2 years. This was recent. Like, I know within the last 3 years for sure.
Let's look it up. But go, you can keep talking.
Yeah, I just feel I'm on the fence with it because, like, I do know that was a thing. That was a form of buck breaking, and it just transitioned
when was it, D-Lo?
Wasn't within 3 years?
2013.
When he was on SNL with a dress? Okay.
March 4th, 2013.
Well, I apologize. I thought that was recent. So then he only had Soul Plane. Soul Plane was
Soul Plane. Let me see what Soul Plane came out. But that was like one of the only movies he was in, other than 40-Year-Old Virgin, when he was that small part in the electronics store. But when the Soul Plane hit.
Okay. Well, I apologize.
Soul Plane was 2004. So 10 years ago. So 10 years after that's when he wore the dress. So, I mean, you can speculate whatever you want to speculate, whatever.
Yeah, but no, whatever. I mean, yeah. So I mean, I just feel I'm on the fence with it because I know it's a form of buck breaking. But these individuals had to choose to wear those dresses. They while there is stigmas in Hollywood, and all that stuff, they do have to sign off on it. If they read through the script, they get to read through the script before everything is done. There may be some changes here and there, but when they read it, if they are okay with, all right, I'm gonna wear a dress, then that's on them. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know we talked about selling your soul and all that stuff a couple of weeks ago. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, hey,
yeah, it is what it is.
I don't know enough about every individual that wore a dress to talk about it. I know that Marlon said that it's a big thing in our culture of wearing a dress. And you don't see other coaches getting up in fronts about up in arms about it too much. He talked about Robin Williams. He talked about Patrick Swayze. He talked about all those individuals. But it's always our culture. I mean, and that's the thing. We always, when it comes to like finances and sticking together, stuff like that, we always say, well, why we can't be like other cultures? But when it comes to stuff of entertainment and stuff like that, we try to be different. I don't know. We're conflicted sometimes. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but if we're going to be together, we have to be together.
True. And just to kind of close it out a little bit, I mean, Marlon Wayans did say that, the conversation on putting the dresses is silly. He said, whenever you're an artist, you have to have a different mindset. And he said, it's about the art, not the persona that society puts on you wearing the dress. It's literally for the art of being a performer, being an entertainer, being an actor, or being an actor. I was gonna say actress, but actresses are thought to wear dresses. But so I think it's silly too. But I mean, at this point, you know, Katt Williams put out what he put out. And again, like I said, a lot of the evidence that people are trying to do to back Katt Williams is looking like leaning towards he telling the truth. But the fact that he spoke about people other than the people who harmed him is what Dave Chappelle has the problem with. And that's the issue. That's the issue that it has. Yeah.
The last thing I'll say, because it just popped in my mind, is the only problem that I have with it is representation matters, right? And we always say that. And up until a couple years ago, I wouldn't say a couple years ago, but you know, recent history of film and entertainment, TV and movies and stuff, us in a positive light on camera and movies wasn't always a thing. Like most times we played the drug dealer, the gang member, somebody shady, something like that. There were very few roles where the black person was the hero and all of that stuff up until recently. Like there's been a shift in that, so to speak. Now, but then you put us in dresses that's like, is that all we're good for? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is to do those type of roles, or are you implying that our race is full of that community? And that's not the case. So I mean, that's why I say I'm conflicted with it, because there are many different messages and ways that you can go about that. But you know, again, like you said, and like Marlon said, is the art of being an actor. So, but I'm sure. Well, did Marlon play a gay?
He was in White Chicks.
Role? I knew he wore a dress, but did he play a gay role?
I don't think so. But one thing I will say is that Marlon usually writes the scripts or writes the roles for a lot of his parts too. So him and his family writes them. So he has a little bit, because most people go into a part trying to gain the role, while Marlon has the artistic power to write the roles and cast himself. So he casted himself for White Chicks. So there you go. And that's a classic movie. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, like it won't funny, like it won't great, but you know, there is a stigma behind a lot of things. And like he said, our culture puts a little bit more of a negative on that, on you know, our black men wearing a dress, as opposed to other cultures putting on theirs. So it is what it is at this point, man. Do what y'all do, man. I ain't the one to judge. I'm not judging y'all. Shit, if it's funny, it's funny. You know what I'm saying? I ain't that type of guy. So yeah. Oh, y'all still here. So that must mean you love the content. And if that is the case, there's a video on the screen right here. Go ahead and click that, view that. We think you're going to love that one as well. And we still have our 600 subscriber goal. So there's a button on the screen right here. Go ahead and click that to subscribe to the channel. And we're on all your streaming platforms, wherever you find your podcasts.